passing of Premier Lougheed, one writer compared the province he created to the one that exists now and noted, the current structure of this province, from our oil and gas industry to our fiscal management systems, were now established by Mr. Klein. Calling yourself a progressive without changing this is just window dressing. It's simply code for spending the oil wealth faster. To the Premier, you recently stated government decisions must be fair to future generations. Is it your view that spending all $11 billion of our non-renewable resource revenue and now taking on debt is fair to future generations?
Speaker. What is fair to future generations is what Albertans know, that if we invest now, we will have successful future generations, Mr. Speaker. And that means investing in schools, investing in education, investing in universities, and making sure, Mr. Speaker, that we are qualifying people who will be able to participate in our economy. And, Mr. Speaker, other people that think this is a good idea include the Managing Director of the National Bank, the Vice President of Capital Markets at RBC, the CEO and President of MacLab Enterprises, successful businessmen, Mr. Speaker, who understand you need to make smart, strategic, long-term decisions for the future, and that's what leads to success and is fair for future generations.
Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Premier. We need to build schools, we need to implement full-day kindergarten, build family care clinics and the like. But is it fair to future generations to be the lowest tax jurisdiction by a country mile, spend all of the oil wealth in one generation, and now go into debt? Is that really fair to future generations?
Mr. Speaker, we have a passion about the future of this province that ensures that future generations are going to be well taken care of. We know that we've had success with this in the past, Mr. Speaker. We certainly follow the legacy of previous progressive Conservative premiers who've been pragmatic, who've been innovative, who've been creative, Mr. Speaker, and have understood that if you invest wisely now, future generations will succeed.
Honourable member.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's an old saying in my neighbourhood, you lie to my friends, I'll lie to my friends, let's not lie to each other. But if we look at what is going on, the spending of all the oil wealth, going into debt, and not willing to tax anything, it's simply lipstick on a pig. Will you admit your current resolve shows no regard to the future generations of this province?
Honourable Premier.
I believe that this discussion that we're having now is fundamentally what we talked about in the last provincial election, and I have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that for the next 6 months we will talk about this. I tell you, Mr. Speaker, this government, this caucus, and this cabinet would not be doing this if we did not have resolved that this was the right thing for future generations.
Hear, hear.